Hello and welcome. Today we have another episode of Weaving Stories of Your Well-Being. And today's story comes from the theme of Autumn Enchantment. If you haven't heard about PureEsperanza, we are a nonprofit organization and we're dedicated to bringing forth consciousness while educating body, mind, and soul in the art of living. So we have a very honored guest who returns month after month to share her gift of storytelling. She is a green copywriter by day and a fierce advocate for green in our world. We are so thankful that she is connected with PureEsperanza, serves on our board, and is such a wise storyteller, bringing her gifts for all of you, all of us that have that wonderful opportunity to listen and to be able to reflect with parts of our life with these stories. And that in some way, perhaps, it does just a little bit of that magic like autumn does that allows us to penetrate into this opportunity to feel well and to connect it to body, mind, and soul. So without any further ado, Balaka Ghosal, thank you so much for being here, being our guest storyteller and bringer of beautiful magic.
Oh, thank you so much, Esperanza, for having me here. I absolutely love this experience and this opportunity to share stories with so many of us here.
Yes, it's truly a really rare gift. We often think about stories as being for children, but there are really ways that we can, have sort of characters we follow, and these characters are all pieces of our own soul, our own life. And along those lines is this shift that we are feeling now with the autumnal equinox.
Yes.
And all that happens with the season change and how we transition from one season to another, often being able to relate pieces of our own life as we look back and we see the seasons of life, the different years we've lived and what we've gleaned from those different experiences during the course of the year. And here we are making another turn. And we like to think of that as being kind of the magic that we can perceive from the shift of the season and autumn. So I know, Balaka, that you have a beautiful story to share, and I'm so excited to be able to hear it today.
Yes, you were so right about the autumn. In places where it's very hot, it brings a welcome change. And we're looking forward to that change and that slight chill in the air in the morning. But in places with extreme winter, the summer was the happy days, and a sudden change of weather in the mornings, especially when you have to pull your jackets out again. There is a lurking fear somewhere there that, oh my God, here comes several months of severe winter.
Brace yourself.
Yeah. So it's different depending on where you live. This season brings in so much of a thought process and to deal with.
Yeah.
So the story that I thought of sharing today is that, again, an Indian folklore where in a forest there were several trees growing together. The species, there is no matched plantation like rose or no planned sowing of any fruit. It's just the seeds grow where their parent trees have been earlier, and they always seem to be there. And after some time, you almost forget who was the parent and who was the child. They're all in groves and a mix. And there's grass, at the tree beds. And here, there happened to be a mango sapling and a makal sapling. The makal is a fruit in Bengal, and I'm sure that that's found in many other places in India. It's beautiful on the outside, but not palatable and not even appetizing to look at the inside. It's quite like a bit of muck. But on the outside, it looks like a delicious fruit. And here was this mango sapling. Now, both of them, or several of them together, didn't know what kind of trees they were or what kind of fruits they would produce. They were just together growing up and getting their branches stronger, more and more leaves, and then they start blossoming. So there was a lot of excitement, and then came the fruits. And very soon, the mango tree started seeing that, okay, the birds come to me more. The monkeys, they like to sit on my branches to taste my fruits. And the squirrels and even the insects, the ants would line up for the ripening mango. And the macaw, not so much. And when the humans came, the children were, of course, very happy to swing on the branches and climb the trees and have a lot of fun, sit under the shade. But they learned from their grown-ups when the fruits came that this is the mango tree that we need to honor, and this is the macaw, which is to be disregarded. You know, we don't want those fruits. So let's take care of these. Let's see that the birds and, you know, other animals don't eat them all up. So this mango tree started feeling, wow, like, look, I'm the center of attention. I have so much to give. I have a great, product to offer, a great something that I've made that I'm giving. And the macaw was the less popular and, well, just dwelled on, carried on. Its fruits ripened and fell to the ground. So did some of the mangoes, half eaten by the animals. And soon after summer, the fruits were gone. And with it, the mango tree was surprised to see that all the monkeys, the birds, the squirrels, didn't spend much time with it anymore. They kind of left. The birds flew away into the sky to some other places that were warmer. Well, what about me? It was suddenly as useless, or the same, if not useless, same as the macaw, standing there fruitless. Now they are evergreen trees, so their leaves didn't change color or fall to the ground, not all of them. But with this, when it felt like, whoa, my prime youth is kind of gone, it didn't know that, okay, next spring, we are again going to have blossoms. These interested animals would come again and leave again. That's part of life. Didn't know any of that. But at least one wisening, just like some of the leaves were browning and falling to the ground to nourish the soil, there was some kind of wisdom dawning that, we are trees. And we had our best to offer, and nothing is lost, really. We did our best, and we are all the same producers that we create with the light of the sun, and we give the fruits, and not everything is lost. So this egalitarian feeling, the equality that they had in their childhood, started to come back to him. That, okay, I was getting a little proud about all the attention I was getting, but it's only for the fruit that they were coming. And I think that that's the moment of joy again. That's the moment of a realization that I am just the conduit. I'm the pathway through which these fruits came and added value to them, and they went away, but maybe they'll come again. So this, I think, as we are aging, and let's say, not included in the folk tale, but year after year, as these plants in a forest go through this mixed cohabitation of all these species, including the grass that will brown out and die, or seemingly die in the winter and come back again in spring, spring back in spring. I think over the years, we also realize, just like trees, that we give what we give that adds value. And it is that continuity, the whatever seems like changing, gone, not there anymore, it is still there, ready to come back to us. So to have our spirit still feeling upbeat and thankful about what we have been through and being through right now.
Yeah, a sense of being renewed. That's always, such a wonder in itself. And therefore, it brings us back to the theme, which is just about that enchantment of the change. When I was a child, I would hear a lot of positive messages, like, to be able to embrace change and all those kinds of things. But somewhere along the line, through our culture, our society, we contradict that premise. And we contradict it by things like, it wasn't too long ago, certainly even in my generation and the one before me, that people really still here in America often thought there was an American dream. And that American dream, went along something, and of course it was related to the fact that many people were migrants and coming over and they were trying to have a better life for their children and families. But that dream went something along the lines like, you acquire a home, you have a family, and if you're fortunate to get more education, then you get the degree, and that degree is so that you can have the best career, and you're in that career forever. And there's nothing wrong with any of that, way that somebody decides to live their life. But each of those segments of what I just named become kind of a fixed box or role. And it didn't allow for people when, people started to have kind of revolutionary mind awareness and suddenly decided, I've been a teacher, or I've been a nurse, or I've had this profession for 30 years. And you know what? I'm just not happy anymore doing this. I want to do something different. I really always longed to be an artist. I really always wanted to do this other, and it's because of that previous mindset, we were set in a certain way that we were going to live out life, rather than truly being able to embrace this infinite wisdom about change is the one thing we can absolutely count on. And I don't know that we're prepared enough, maybe perhaps now as we become more enlightened in thinking, that we can actually be prepared enough to say to our children, like, it's okay. You can be anything you want to be, and you can change that at any moment in time. And,
right.
and to be aware that life will be a series of changes, different things you will have to change. And I think that's where, like previous cultures, just the initiation rites that people had from being a child to becoming an adolescent. Of course, some cultures still retain that through bar mitzvahs or coming of age ceremonies or whatever that might be, for the individual. I'm sure in your Indian culture you have some of those kinds of things.
Yes, but in India, I've also seen the same thing as here, that once someone begins to get gray hair, or once someone is approaching retirement, most people feel that, okay, now I have to be ready for a long period of endless boredom,
Yeah.
Nothing to do. And what am I going to do? Some people said, okay, I'm going to read a novel, or, well, I will listen to the radio and pass my time. But maybe another area of enrichment or enchantment can happen than just, beyond. I'm not putting reading a novel down in any way, but I'm
Sure.
saying you can still continue to enrich others or other things around you with whatever wisdom life has given you. You
Yes.
can still add, to it and also grow yourself. Like even through the winter, these trees continue to grow.
Yes.
It looks like, okay, no more fruits for evergreen trees, and the deciduous, they start shedding, or complete barren branches at a point of time, but they're still dormant, but it is still evolving,
Yeah.
it's not static. So I think that
Exactly.
enchantment wisdom is when we value that, okay, I'm going to retire, which gives me all the free time to become, as you said, someone is a nurse, but say, oh, I always wanted to be an artist. Well, do that. You don't have to have an artist profession. You don't have to immediately have a business to sell the art or have an art show, but just the joy of painting in your free time, maybe in your backyard, can lift you to such higher realms of
Yes.
joy.
I agree. I think anytime we find purpose or meaning in whatever it is that we're doing and allowing ourselves that freedom to explore that, that's part of that enchantment. And I think at any age, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, part of that American, at least what I've experienced as the American kind of dream, also followed along the lines that after you finished your profession and retired from that place that you worked at forever, which is almost unheard of now, right? So, our children and children's children, they're living in a different world where that's not necessarily the case. People move all over the place now to different places. Most people don't stay working somewhere till, from 20 to the time that they retire. And the idea that once you retire, that's it. You still have fruit that you're bearing. You still have a ripe beauty about what you're transitioning to. But that's true for every part of life. I can think back to being a young woman and then becoming a mother, and that transformation and that change that happened then. And then again, reinventing myself once my children were grown and gone.
Yeah.
And, there's just so many pieces to that. And that's the fruit as you keep moving through those and accepting all of that
Yeah.
and gleaning whatever
Yes.
it is that you're learning from all that. That becomes such a gift to give.
Yeah. And, I've seen that, just to draw a parity with the thought that I said, that the mango and macaw were again feeling that, oh, we're the same producer kind. It doesn't matter what fruit we have produced in the past season. That kind of, I've seen old men sitting in a park, having a laughing club or something, or they're just sitting in a circle and doing some yoga and then laughing their gut out. Like loud laughter. Laughter yoga is very, therapeutic. So they're all laughing. And to think that, okay, where were they 20 years ago? It doesn't matter to them at that point. Maybe someone was doing an ordinary job, and maybe someone was a CEO, but they were all sitting in that park in a circle and laughing, like we are all old people having a good time kind of a thing. Human beings, we have done our bit, and now it doesn't matter. The past doesn't matter. We are not going to compare our educational levels. Like, oh, so the PhD, I'm just a graduate. That was not there in that group of old people. They're just having a good time. It's like the autumn of their lives. And they have produced their fruit and they have given it to the world. And now they're not worried about their past status
Yeah.
levels, income. They're just sitting in the park and laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Um, it was always a good sight for me to see that.
Yes. Yes. I agree. I think that that's a beautiful part. It reminds me sort of like, um, I feel like we have these micro seasons within the macro season of a life, and in that course, you know, we may not see all the visibility of what was the fruit on the outside, let's say, like the material things or the status or all those kinds of things, because maybe it's now kind of transitioned and transformed into this, what appears to be more bare on the outside, because you're now to the essence of what
So true.
who you are as a human being. So now you can relate to one another. It's like, you're another human being. Your story is all mixed with all these things and how wonderful, but there's an honoring, a respect that like we've all lived to this moment now, right? With all the things that we've come through. And now all it remains is this beautiful essence, right? And that is like the fruit of the fruit, you know what I mean? So yeah.
And
It's
some
beautiful.
people can rise completely above and out of this outward, any detail that we have about our body, how we look like,
Yes.
what we are, all the physical attributes. Okay, that's keeping our awareness and consciousness, soul, whatever one chooses to call it. This is just the vehicle for that.
Yes.
But some people actually begin to recognize who the real, you are inside of this body, regardless of any differentiation that human society has drawn, unfortunately. Religion and color and caste, creeds and
well, and
gender.
then a lot of spiritual practices, and I know you have some in your life. I have them in my life. I know many people have all kinds of different practices, but there's that conscious awakening of the shedding. Some people refer to it as the ego death that happens, or whatever it is that happens, and for some it happens in a shocking way through different experiences that come in. For other people, there's a grace that it kind of unfolds over these seasons. But whatever way it comes to you, you recognize when you're in that moment, because there is a deeper connection with what that enchantment is all about. And that's what we're sharing here today for wherever anyone is at on their journey, whether they're at what seems like the beginning of that journey, all the way to maybe in a later time in life, and all those in betweens. And certainly if you've had a longer life, you can reflect back and you can see those junctures. Yes, that was that season, and that was the next one, and on down the line. So yeah, it's a journey. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that beautiful story today, Balaka. And I'm so excited about next month and just sharing a little bit with people for next month, which is traditionally the time that here in the States, we start thinking about the holiday of Thanksgiving. And it's kind of what people deem as the kickoff of the holidays and all of that. But,
same in India. October is full of festive seasons, seasons of realization and giving.
How beautiful, how beautiful. Maybe you can share some of that with us too as we enter the season, because I would love to, and this is another topic for another time, but along that theme of giving, there's, like you mentioned, these different festivals also. And festivals, I think for many different cultures, I think there's a real wisdom to that recognition of those different changes throughout the year, which is kind of what we're talking about now, even is the enchantment of that, and how those different practices, rituals, ceremonies, festivals, all those different ways that we get to celebrate that is such a connection to these passages that we're living on a day-to-day, even from the mundane to the festive part of life, from what we do on a regular daily basis to that moment that we Now we come out joyfully and we
And
are
the
together.
festive exuberance has a wisdom
Yeah,
deep inside, which is often forgotten by society. We are busy with the festive details, but okay, so why are we doing this festival?
exactly.
Often lost in the fancy, you know.
Yeah.
So it's always good to, you know, bring it back and
Yes.
create it in our souls that, you know,
Yeah. It's
that is
part of
what.
this soul renewal.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
right.
How wonderful. So next month you can tune in and we'll have another episode for the series on giving. And perhaps we'll have a little bit of extra special surprises here and there that'll be coming up. So you can tune in then. And Balaka, if you want to just share where they can reach you and see the work that you do.
Right. Well, I'm a copywriter by day, which means I create anything from simple blog pieces to digital marketing, writing help that any company that um, works on, you know, any green business or simply greening up their own act, you know, how to go towards more circular. So I help with that. And I, as Esperanza said, I try to live adding more green steps to my lifestyle and finding peace from that. But my website is thegreenwriter.com. You can go there, visit, and you can go to YouTube and find me there. I have the Green Quotient, which is the newsletter, which also is a channel in YouTube. And my email, one simple email, if you want to skip the website part, is just my first name and last name with a dot in between at Gmail. So balaka.ghosal@gmail.com. But I have some free gifts on my website. You can opt for them. Uh, if you, and I think it will add some little value to your own journey as well. So feel free
Yeah.
to do that. I would love to have you as a visitor.
Yeah. So please connect with Balaka because there is value, so much value to all the service you're giving, Balaka, in so many ways. And as I had mentioned earlier, also serving our board here at PureEsperanza. And you can find us at pureesperanza.org as well as on YouTube with a few different series there and some upcoming classes. We have some exciting
And products.
information, yeah, and products too on our shop.
Very
And
good
there are
product.
things coming out to be able to help you always with body, mind, and soul on your journey, but also launching some new realities, no pun intended, that will be coming. And they're just going to be on the cutting edge of what we're now seeing changing in our world and how we interact with one another and how we communicate with one another and how we share experiences together. And perhaps so much of this has evolved as we've come through the pandemic, as we're moving through technology and connecting across globally all over the world, and so many different ways that are exciting and new, but that we want to always keep that element of that authentic connection, just as Balaka said, how she incorporates green in her life, you know, and that's the genuine part of her and her experience and how then she can express that. Same with us here as we're looking always to connect each and every individual back with the natural world and how they're connected with all life and how all of us are really here together on this incredible journey that we get to experience that we know is life itself. So with that being said, my friends, until next time, thank you again, Balaka. Be well, peace.
Thank you, and be well, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll rejoice on this journey together towards everybody's healing.
Yes, thank you so much.